So now that we've taken a look at all of the upper and lower body nerve tension assessments, we can think about putting them together into a full body dynamic warm-up, just to try to incorporate the nervous system more specifically into any mobility program that we might have. Alright, so thinking about the upper body, we're going to do this with 2 arms instead of just 1 at a time. We can think about starting with the hands down at the side, so you always want to get the midline stable so you're not compensating by overextending the spine. And we're going to start with just the hands in this internal, or the shoulders in internal rotation, the hands a little bit flexed, just like we were in the upper limb tension test 2A to kind of bias the radial nerve there. Okay, and then this also kind of emulates holding on to a bar as if we're going to be ready to do any type of Olympic style lifting. Okay, so you can think of it in that position there. But we want to just really bias that internal rotation without the shoulders rounding forward. So always maintaining this kind of shoulder or the head of the humerus back into the socket and stable midline position. All right, adding a little bit of flexion to the fingers along with flexion of the wrist. Okay, and then we're going to do the opposite. We're going to spin the shoulders into external rotation, open the palms up, open the fingers, spread them wide, and then reach the hands down to the ground and add extension of the wrist. All right, so that's going to be similar to upper limb tension test 2A, which biases the median nerve, so reaching that down through there. Okay, and then what we can do is sneak back into that first position we had there, and then just like we were pulling a bar up the body and kind of coming into the scarecrow position for anyone familiar with Olympic lifting, we're going to internally rotate the shoulders as we flex the elbows. Alright, and then just flip, and now here we are into upper limb tension test 3, alright, or one version of it, where we're kind of carrying the tray and biasing the ulnar nerve right here, the area of the funny bone. Alright, so from there, we extend the elbows, and we're going to keep the wrist extended, which we're getting us back into upper limb tension test 1 on both sides, biasing the median nerve and just kind of assessing any different side to side. And then from there, we can flip the palms up and make a double mask position. All right, elbows stay open. All right, and then we'll reverse that, push it back out. All right, and we can turn the fingers back, bring the hands in, carry the tray, flip it down into the scarecrow position, go down into this bilateral upper limb tension test 2B, and then flip back to upper limb tension test 2A. Alright, and then you shake it out. So all of that motion there, that can be done throughout the course of the day. Once you get the patterning down, you can go through it quicker. Alright, so let's do that again real quick. So you're going to just flip the palms, upper limb tension test 2B on both sides. Flip again, palms open, and extend the wrist. Reach the hands down to the ground. Upper limb tension test 2B. Coming up into this scarecrow position, internal rotation. Flipping as if you're holding 2 trays. Upper limb tension test 3, one version of it. Push the arms out, and then turn the fingers back so you're in this upper limb tension test 1. And then you're going to flip into the other version of upper limb tension test 3 for the ulnar nerve, double mask position, and then reverse it. Alright, doing that, you don't have to do that many times, just doing that, maybe 3 to 5 reps throughout the course of the day several times will keep your upper body nervous system moving nicely and efficiently, okay? And you can add those movements into anything else you find yourself doing. You think about any type of yoga pose where you might have your arms doing some work. If you want to just add some wrist motions and finger motions, then you start adding a little bit of a bias in tensioning. So say we're in something like a crescent pose in yoga, and I want to bring my arms down, and I'm reaching away and I'm turning my fingers back. I can also bring the hands in before I reach them back down. All of that, just those little adjustments and those little transitions can be little cues to tension the nervous system and improve the health of the nervous system. Alright, so if we're looking at the lower body, instead of getting on the ground, we can make this tensioning a little bit more functional. So the straight leg raise, the first thing that comes to mind is doing a single leg deadlift type maneuver. So starting and standing, bringing the toe on the ground and kind of like the big toe's an airplane taking off, And now you're in a straight line from the heel to the head, working down, checking your flexibility, see if you can get down on the ground and put your fingertips down. So this knee is going to be bent, and then we're going to floss, bend, and straighten. As you straighten this leg, you kind of reach the right leg away from the head. Alright, and then you can also add some lifting of the toes, some dorsiflexion. See if that tensions things a little bit. And then add a little neck flexion and slump and neck extension while you're down there. Alright, and then get up and then test the other side. So you can spend as much time as you feel comfortable down there doing some of these, like 3 to 5 motions, flossing at the ankle, at the knee, at the neck, at the spine, or you can just kind of do one at a time. So straighten the knee, stand up, and alternate, bend, straighten the knee, stand up. The next time I go down, I'm going straighten the knee, dorsiflex the ankle, and then reverse it, straighten the knee, dorsiflex the ankle, and then the third time I go down, straighten the knee, dorsiflex the ankle, add neck flexion, and then repeat that on the other side. Alright, so there's a variety of ways to do that to kind of get a nice functional dynamic warm-up, but also get that sciatic nerve involved a little bit. Alright, so if we go into the prone knee bend, instead of getting on the stomach, what we can do is think about combining the straight leg raise with a prone knee bend type motion. Alright, so that's one way to do it, is where we just start in standing, get this prone knee bend stretch, and then add a little bit of straight leg raise motion, and then coming back and forth. So obviously if your balance is challenged, you just get close to a wall or close to a door frame. Alright, and then you have a little bit more support. Okay, but working the balance is also training for your nervous system. So while you're working on the mobility of the nervous system, you also may be working on some of the challenges of balance that also are training the nervous system. Alright, so you can again look at both sides there. So that combines the straight leg raise with the prone knee bend. And then if we're looking at the slump, you can do this in sitting. There's a couple ways to look at this from a dynamic warm-up perspective. So whenever you find yourself sitting on a couch, instead of sitting actually on the couch, put your back against it or back against a wall, pull one knee in and then the other. And then you're going to straighten the leg and add the dorsiflexion, and then you can add the neck flexion, bringing the nose towards the knee. Alright, and then bring the head up, and then plantar flex. Alright, and then do the other side. Plantar flexion, add dorsiflexion, add neck flexion. Feel a little tension. I get a little bit right in the buttocks there. If I point the toe, it goes away. So again, there's a little bit of possible sciatic nerve involvement, or just at least tension when I do that motion. Alright? So again, don't have any symptoms, so it's not pathological, but it can be something that, you know, if it continues to tighten up, can lead to problems down the line. So from a standpoint of just trying to stay on top of mobility, looking at this stuff may just, you know, it might incorporate the nervous system a little bit more into your overall mobility program. Alright, so you can actually do this bilaterally too. Bring the head forward, dorsiflex, plantar flex to take some of the tension away, and then bring yourself back. Alright, you can bring the knees in, straighten them out, dorsiflex, neck flexion, plantar flex, neck extension, bring everything back in. Alright, the other more challenging way is to get into the bottom of sort of a pistol position, but in this case, because my ankle mobility is not so hot, I'm just going to use my hands to support me here. Alright, I'm going to add the dorsiflexion, knee extension, and neck flexion, and then I'm going to switch. Alright, so it's a little bit more dynamic here. I can work on opening up my hips, staying at the bottom of a squat, and coming in and out of this position. If you got knees that are a little tricky and it doesn't feel comfortable, I don't recommend this position. The other piece that you can do is elevate the heels. Alright, so you're a little bit more comfortable. Bring yourself down. I definitely recommend the hands, giving you a little extra support. Alright, you can try working the mobility if you're feeling strong enough in your pistols, your mobility kind of coming in and out. I'm actually able to sit on the ab mats that I got there, which actually give me a little bit of support. Okay, and that will just help you combine the mechanics and mobility necessary for the pistol along with some of this neural mobility. Alright, so don't think too much about this neural flossing stuff. It's really mostly incorporated into a lot of the movements we do already. You know, just looking at yogic type movements, martial arts, when we block, do any of that work, Olympic lifting, pulling the bar up, going overhead, just adding some sensitizing activities to it. And really the key in a therapeutic setting is if somebody's coming in with a symptom, we're just really using these techniques to kind of tease out how much involvement from the nervous system there actually is.